Hey guys, what's up? James here from Embark, and today we're going to look at zero-sum thinking versus non-zero-sum thinking. So there's those who believe that the world is a zero-sum game, and there's those that believe it is a non-zero-sum game or a positive-sum game. Both of these terms come from game theory. Zero-sum games are when the participants' gains and losses are directly proportional to the other participants' gains and losses. If all the gains are added up, and then you subtract the losses, you'll end up on zero, hence zero-sum game. In layman's terms, if there's 10 people in a room and there's a pie and it's getting divided up, each person is going to have an equal slice of pie. But if one person has a slightly bigger slice of pie, then somewhere some person's slice is going to be slightly smaller. So these groups of people have what's known as zero-sum thinking, which is where they think individual games are always zero-sum in nature. All the gains totaled up minus the losses will add to zero. There's no such thing as a win-win in the eyes of someone who has zero-sum thinking. The second group of people, the non-zero-summers or the positive-sum thinking group, thinks a little bit differently. These people generally believe that we can make the pie bigger. Therefore, although some people might have bigger slices than other people, overall there's more pie to be had. Most of these phrases come from game theory and are in relation to economic theory, and growing the pie or more for everyone are sort of terms related to economic liberalism, which was first formulated fully by Adam Smith. Now, I want to talk about zero-sum thinking and non-zero-sum thinking or positive-sum thinking more than I do to the sort of economic side of things. I'm not going to go into great detail in the economics behind zero-sum thinking, but as it ties in, I'm just going to go over a little bit of information real quick. So as you can see from Our World in Data's image here, over the past 2 centuries we've dramatically reduced the amount of people living in extreme poverty from 90% of the world to only 10% of the world, and also child mortality rates from 43% dying before 5 years old down to only 4% currently. And all of this has occurred whilst the population increased 700% to 7.1 billion people. All the while, levels of basic education, literacy, vaccinations have increased dramatically, as well as the amount of people living in democracies. This has all been made possible through science, technology and engineering improvement that is directly linked to economic incentives. The world is a far better place than it used to be, despite people arguing that wealth inequality has become worse. And as I said, I want to talk about the mindset side of things, the positive sum and the zero-sum thinking, rather than the economic side of things. So overall, zero-sum thinking is not a great mindset to have, and it's going to hurt you long-term in 2 different ways. Firstly, through zero-sum bias. What's zero-sum bias? This is where you gain a cognitive bias towards zero-sum thinking. You'll only see winners and losers in life, which is a narrow point of view, and it's going to reduce the amount of opportunities that you'll see because you're not going to be looking for them. You don't even think that they exist. Whether this be in negotiations when you don't believe in mutual gains or win-win scenarios, or discussing changes to job roles at work, thinking that there's no way that you can collaborate, it's just always hierarchy, and if you get that position then someone else, you're taking it from someone else, vice versa. The view of winners and losers can be okay, and in some cases it can be practical, but only where that particular game is in fact zero-sum. But for most parts of life this is not the case. It's only occasionally zero-sum, and your job is to spot the difference. So I said there's 2 different ways where this can affect you. And so the first one was on an individual basis, and the second way is on a group basis. And this means thinking about life as zero-sum when it comes to your group versus another group. The ideas of groups competing for resources. This isn't a great worldview, and it's not going to help you in the long run. Positive-sum thinking is definitely the way to go in my opinion, and it's tough. We're hardwired as individuals. 2.5 million years of evolution has prompted our minds towards scarcity. We have scarcity mindsets, and that's helped us in the past. You know, when we were tribes competing for food with other tribes, you know, that was zero-sum thinking, and maybe we could have collaborated, but you couldn't back then because of obviously the many reasons that you couldn't. But, you know, that's still built into us. That's the evolution that we have, that this is our resources, we cannot share them, our tribe's what matters, otherwise we'll die. Like life and death scarcity. But that's not the case anymore. We have an abundance. Technology has brought an abundance to us, and we should all have an abundance mindset, and a mindset of win-win, or a positive sum mindset, or non-zero sum mindset. You know, the world has historically been a place for conquest, expansion, fragmentation, and eventually collapse. From Romans to the Egyptians, from the Mayans to the Persians. But we're in a situation now with technology that it's pushed societies in a place to where we can live cohesively, obviously to an extent, but enough so that one particular civilization can't just go and conquer a continent, and neither would they want to. There's easier steps now towards wealth than there was back then, and easier steps to wealth now than there is to stealing. And the more complex society seems to become, the more we're pushed and forced into looking for win-win scenarios, looking for collaborative scenarios where we can live cohesively. On both the individual and the group level, your first thoughts should be towards win-win. It should be positive sum thinking. And as I said, you know, there's going to be cases where it is a zero-sum game. But for the most part, you want to approach stuff with that positive sum mindset, because it's better for everyone. It's easier to negotiate, and worst case scenario, if it goes a different way, fine, then at least you tried. So always be positive sum in your thinking, or try to be positive sum in your thinking, or non-zero sum in your thinking. It's a better outlook, and one that has led us down this prosperous path, and one that will continue to help us prosper in the future. I definitely think positive sum is the best mindset to have over zero sum. So that's it, guys. That's all from me. Had a little look at positive sum versus zero sum thinking, why I think one mindset is better than the other. If you got any questions, please drop them in the comments. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We have more videos here coming every single week. I've been James from Embark, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.